If you're looking for a unique puzzle game experience with some pretty solid boss fights and some insanely elaborate puzzles that will absolutely rack your brain, then Cocoon is the game for you. Now, here's the deal. I don't know how to explain this game, mainly because it is such a unique concept. Because essentially, what you're doing is jumping between galaxies. So as you're moving throughout the game, for example, the first chapter, you're going to go into this desert area. And as you're moving throughout this canyon, you're taking this orb that is essentially your galaxy, and you're trying to solve puzzles with it. And they start off really simple, moving platforms, being able to drop the items on certain areas, making sure you're just walking off that platform into another platform. Really simple stuff. Like, you will not be challenged in Cocoon until you get to about the third area. Because by that third area, you're now utilizing 3 different galaxies. You have 3 unique mechanics that you have to memorize, because each of the areas that you go into do different things. And that is where Cocoon is both brilliant, but it can also be incredibly taxing. Like most puzzle games, Cocoon is very much a trial and error type of game. You are going to be tested. This game desperately wants you to think outside of the box. This game wants you to go galaxies deep. Meaning, if you think you can get into an area by dropping a galaxy into a spot and then popping back out because you have to carry that galaxy around, then that is what you must do. You have to always keep that in mind, by the way, because if you are not consistently thinking outside the box, if you're not consistently thinking about the mechanics of the game, you will never solve some of the more elaborate puzzles. When you get to the end of this game, there is a puzzle that I swear felt like it went on forever. And my brain, by the end of it, was so racked and so tired that I had to step away because I was exhausted trying to think about all the different scenarios that would work. I had to do all of this testing beforehand to ensure that I came out successful. That is how in-depth Cocoon is. It is a brilliant game, but I fear that the trial and error stuff is going to turn off a lot of people, because basically, if you don't nail that perfect scenario, you are going to be going back and forth a lot, and your character doesn't necessarily move quick enough as you're switching orbs. It is a tedious process at times, and I really feel like it's the one thing that I know people are going to get frustrated about. You'll know when you nail a scenario because the music will shift. You're going to hear like this really lovely chime in the background, and that's your cue to understand that you solved the puzzle correctly. Otherwise, if you did not hear that as you're moving about, you are more than likely wrong, and you're going to have to reassess your situation. At some point, and I think it was around the 4th chapter, I started to look at Cocoon like a Souls-like, primarily because when you beat a boss, a very difficult boss in a Souls-like, you feel this sense of relief. And that's how I felt about some of the puzzles in Cocoon. When you beat a really challenging, elaborate puzzle, I'm serious, I just felt like this relief wash over me. It was a great feeling, but I wish that this game just wasn't so tedious at times. Like, I really wanted to have shorter spurts when it came to some of the more elaborate puzzles. Like, we could have these chunks in between, but for whatever reason, there's a puzzle that I swear was just way too long for its own good. And it felt like it just dragged along, because you're going to get to a point where you feel like the game is over. You know, you've completed all of these different chapters, you feel like this is the end, and then it just kind of throws this really hardcore challenge at the end, and you're just like, I'm tired, man. I don't want to get beat up anymore. No mas, your brain is telling you no. I kind of recommend you not playing this in one sitting, like taking some short breaks in between to give your brain a rest, because, like I said, the sequencing can be really difficult, and you're going to have to write some stuff down. I was watching other YouTubers play this game, and one person was like, what am I doing wrong? Why is the sequencing off? And I could hear him typing, and I knew that he was typing out the sequencing because it just got so elaborate. That's essentially what this game is going to do to you. So if you're looking for a really challenging puzzle game, that will fool you at first, because I love the visual aesthetic of this game. I love the fact that it just feels so welcoming. I love the music in this game. But holy crap, when this game starts to get going, when it starts to get tough, it will absolutely snatch your soul. With that being said, I cannot recommend this game enough. I really believe that Cocoon is a fantastic game. I think it's going to be in a lot of people's top 10s when the year ends, and that's crazy to say because 2023 is a really great year for gaming, and I think Cocoon deserves that type of consideration. It is fantastic. Tedium aside, the challenge spike aside, I really feel like this is a game that a lot of people are going to play and love, and when they get past the most difficult parts, they're going to come away satisfied. And I am telling you right now, prepare yourself when you get to that last section, because it is a doozy. Do not be afraid to write stuff down. It's probably the first puzzle game I've played where I had to remind myself how the sequencing worked, but I'm telling you, it was just a great time overall. And that is going to do it for this video. If you like the content, please consider like, sharing, and subscribing. It really helps out the channel. Leave a comment below if you're considering playing Cocoon. And if you're Mikey from the Retrograde Pod, big shout out to you, because I honestly didn't think that this game was going to surprise me in the way it did. And I'm really happy that I took your advice to play this game. It is instantly one of my favorite games of the year. So, I'm Ken from Pixelated Thoughts, and I'll talk to you next time.